since the verdict was passed by the jury on the case between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. The actress has claimed she was cheated and the ruling was intentionally against her. Now, her lawyers have been granting a lot of interviews and giving the world an insight to her plans, one of which is that she would be appealing the judgment that was passed, but experts have come out to state that it might be a little difficult for her to get the verdict changed. So what exactly did the experts say about her chances and why they could be difficult? Although a jury might have come out with a victory for Johnny Depp in his defamation suit against ex-wife Amber Heard, but the legal drama is far from over. Heard's lawyers have said that she will appeal the decision, a process that will likely take years. And because of how things with the case have been since the beginning up until this point, a lot of professionals have waited to give an expert opinion on the likely outcome of the appeal in the grand scheme of things. The expert in this case specifically was Robert Byen, and according to his analysis, Amber and her people have a pretty steep task ahead of them, and it might be a little more difficult than they'd expect. Starting off talking about the process of appeal court cases based on his experience, he stated that Amber and her people would generally have to prove that the verdict was problematic, which could be from things as little as the judge giving the jury the wrong instructions to the jury being malicious in making their decisions. And considering all of this, he still stands on his point that these are going to be incredibly difficult things to prove, explaining why he thought that was going to be the case with the appeal. He started out by talking about some of the claims Amber's lawyer Elaine has been making all over the country in interviews, with her repeatedly mentioning that the fact that they won the UK trial is more than enough evidence that she's capable of winning this, and that the main reason they won there and lost here was because they had a significant amount of their evidence suppressed here as opposed to the UK case. Now, according to Byen, the fact that Elaine is claiming that because they weren't allowed to say much about the UK case is just preposterous because they are completely different legal systems in completely different countries. As such, bringing up that subject in this case would be irrelevant under the Constitution. Moving on from that, another part of Elaine's interview that formed a major part of the expert's opinion on the case was when she said,
"Of this, and it was incredibly lopsided and vitriolic against Amber Heard." Do you think that had an effect on the case?
Absolutely.
You think jurors were aware of it? They weren't supposed to be. They're admonished every single day. Don't look at it. Do you think they did see it?
How can you not? They went home every night. They have families. The families are on social media. We had a 10-day break in the middle because of the judicial conference. There's no way they couldn't have been influenced by it. And it was horrible. It really, really was lopsided. And I appreciate your saying that. It's like the Roman Colosseum, you know, how they viewed this whole case. I was against cameras in the courtroom, and I went on record with that and had argued against it because of the sensitive nature of this. But it made it a zoo.
Does your client want to appeal?
Oh, absolutely. And she has some excellent grounds for it. We even had tried to get the UK judgment in to dismiss his case because he already had his shot. And that's one of the issues, but also a number of the evidentiary issues. There was so much evidence that did not come in.
According to the expert, the problem with these claims Elaine just so conveniently blurted out is that she would actually have to prove all of these at the appellate court for her case to even be considered. Explaining more about his thoughts on this specific aspect of the case, he said,
and that is, by allowing cameras into the courtroom, this matter became a circus, and Amber was essentially poisoned as a result of everything that went down. Here's the problem with that argument. That's certainly the case as far as the public at large. But if she wants to have any success on appeal using that, she's going to need to show that individual jurors actually looked at media, even though they were told that they could not conduct any outside research or look at any media sources at all. You need to show that they did that. And number two, that they were influenced by it. And number three, that it was actually part of the deliberation process.
And given that the judge on many occasions specifically stated that the jury weren't actually allowed to take into consideration anything that was said outside the four walls of the court, Amber doesn't only have to prove that they did disobey the judge, but that the matter actually came up in the deliberation process and directly affected their ruling on the case. Now, according to the expert, this isn't based on just one of the jurors, but Amber actually has to prove that this was the case with each and every member of the jury, and if you think about the time and all of the resources that would be required for that, it'll be pretty difficult and significantly time-consuming. Of course, because of how public the entire case has been since the beginning. Several regular people have been weighing in on their thoughts about the case, and a lot of them had pretty much to say. One user joked about how difficult things would be, saying, "Breaking, Amber Heard's lawyers seeking to find a better actress for the appeal. Hopefully one that can cry this time." That first one we had was just awful. No chemistry, but some other fans seem to think that she might actually come out of the appeal on top. Like this user who wrote, "I'm no lawyer, but I feel like Amber could appeal on not having a fair trial alone. I mean, how could she have a fair trial with thousands of fans chanting outside of the courthouse and fans inside the courtroom? How could that not sway a jury even on an unconscious level?" As the individual clearly stated, they are not involved in legal proceedings as such. This opinion is definitely not as comprehensive as that of an expert in that line of work. Regardless, do tell us what you think if Amber actually has a chance or not.